some ways, at some point in your life, everybody can be a lost rider. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House. Listening and posted the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by the Shaws Bend Country Club, Shaws Bend Social Club, Shaws Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. All right, I tell you what, this weekend we're doing something a little different again. We're here with Mr. Dennis Geesaman. He is a candidate for House District 85. He is a challenger to the incumbent, and we're going to visit with Mr. Geesaman a little bit and see what his ideas on what needs to happen in House District 85. Good morning, Mr. Geesaman. How are you doing?
Good morning. Doing great. You can call me Goose, too. That's my nickname ever since I was a little kid.
All right. Okay. One of the things that we know is that when a person wants to run for, say, like the House of Representatives where you're at, you pick about 3 or 4 topics to be an expert on, and you hammer those home during a campaign. And that's what we run to. What are your topics?
The first thing I would say is not compromising with the left anymore, just as a general idea. If I give a quick history thought process, back in the 1990s when George W. Bush won an election as governor, there was that was the first time there was kind of a sweep of the public statewide offices for Republicans. And so there was a need to compromise with Bob Bullock was the lieutenant governor, so they had to speak and work together. In a lot of ways, Bob Bullock was probably more conservative than George W. Bush was. But after that time, the left kept moving further and further and further to the left to the point where I don't feel like there's a ability to compromise at this time with the left. And I feel like the person that I saw in the office, currently holding the office, was way too many times voting with the Democrats.
All right. Okay. Yes, this left has drifted off and left a lot of people. We've heard that over and over again. All right. You're from Flatonia, so you're rural Texan, and what do you have particular committees in mind that you're looking at that you think you should try to apply for?
I'd like to I have a cow, calf, and hay operation just south of Flatonia, and I've had it for about 30 years now. So as a freshman, it's tough to get on committees, and I see the establishment circling their wagon, so it might be tough to get on any committees at the first term because they don't like that I'm trying to challenge an incumbent. Mm-hmm. I don't call them challenging an incumbent Republican. I call it challenging a uniparty. And so I would like to get on the agriculture committee. Mm-hmm. That'd be my first shot.
All right. Agriculture, that covers a way broad base there. And what we were visiting before we started here, we were talking about water. And so, I mean, agriculture covers a whole heck of a lot. Agriculture, wildlife, water, all that stuff is in there.
Unlike a lot of folks, I am an actual producer. And so I've seen some from that side. The district covers actually 6 counties. It's a very large rural county between Houston and San Antonio. So especially down in the most populous county is probably Wharton County, mm-hmm. Which covers El Campo, is the largest city in the district. It has like 12,500 people. And there's a lot of cotton and rice farmers down in that area too. So it gets into the other areas. And they're having a very difficult time right now with the drought. Only about half of the rice fields have put water on them for producing rice this year. So, mm-hmm. So the water issues are a big issue as far as agriculture goes right now.
All right. Well, you led me right over to where I like to talk about LCRA. LCRA, I think, is, if I remember correctly, it's the only river authority in Texas that doesn't have anyone elected to their board. Everyone is appointed by the governor. Would you be in favor of having a few elected people in their board?
Absolutely. That's the same thing. If you remember the constitutional amendments, so one of the amendments was to put $1 billion towards water projects every year. And that got approved easily. It's like a lot of the things in the constitutional amendments, they look really nice when you throw them up against the wall. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, how's it going to operate? There's some issues there. That $1 billion would only be administered by a committee appointed by the governor. So again, you don't have elected input to it. I think there needs to be more elected input.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong again. I thought several sessions ago there was money taken from the rainy day fund that was supposed to go to the Texas Water Development Board that was going to help some of these rural towns with their old, outdated, leaky water systems. And that, I thought that was like 4 or 6 years ago, several sessions ago, and I never heard of anything getting fixed. And then 2, 4, 6 years later, there goes another $1 billion.
I was actually after I retired from the Air Force, I was in 21 years, and then retired and bought the ranch in Flatonia, and then have run cow, calf, and hay operation there for about 30 years. But and then I was on city council and the mayor for a period of 12 years, and we did get some grants to repair some old water wells, but they were small, just like to replace a pump or to drop a new well where the lining was bad. So we didn't. There were some grants available. I'm not sure if it's directly related to that, but they were just small grants.
All right. Well, no, that was a big question there, because when they passed it this last time, I thought, well, my God, we've done this before, and then so it comes. How many times it's happened? Every 2 years. All right. Education, that's another big deal. We have watched the education in Texas decline, and it's time you look at it and you go, well, we've been doing the same thing for the last 20, 25 years, and it's not getting better. It's time for some new ideas. It's time for something to change.
Yeah, I support the move to do education savings accounts and school choice, but that's really an interesting item. There's a couple items that flip between municipalities, especially large cities, that you think are they take the more conservative viewpoint frequently of school choice because they have bad schools. When you get out into the rural areas here, the people really identify and they love their schools, and the schools are considered the heart of their community in many cases. So they don't want anything that they think is going to disrupt their operations there. So school choice is not, even though it's a kind of a conservative issue, it's not as popular in the conservative areas. So that's pretty interesting. But I would have supported the school choice. There are some holes you can drive a truck through in it right now, especially when you talk about Sharia law schools, or ability to make the playing field a little more level between the public schools and private school. Specifically talking about, I absolutely believe that every child deserves an opportunity for a good education. Every child deserves that. But competition always brings excellence. So if the idea that having competition there is something that people can buy into, if it's somewhat of an even playing field. The two issues that the rural schools, and I've talked to a lot of teachers out here in the rural, both in Flatonia, and talked to some teachers just yesterday in Sealy. Mm-hmm. They feel like the private schools have an opportunity to pick who that they come to their schools, so they don't take the problem children. And then the testing requirements are not as rigorous in the private schools. So if it's an even playing field, the rural superintendents, who are competitive people anyway, say we're ready to compete if we can have a somewhat of an even playing field.
All right, one of the problems, or one of the things I hear when we talk and discuss education, is the STAR test, or the the standardized state test, and you hear parents, you hear students, you hear teachers, you hear everybody wants to get rid of it. But whenever we interview legislators, they say, well, you have to have some form of accountability. And it's not working. It's not working. The teachers say that, if we're just teaching to this test, we're not really teaching. We can do a whole lot better job. So, I don't know. Is it time to let this go? Is it time, to let that kind of testing go, or what do we do?
They made an attempt to address it this last legislative session where they don't call it the STAR test anymore, and it's a scaled down test that's given 3 times a year. And we'll see how it works. You have to have some sort of a measurement. I'm concerned that some people feel like they don't want to be held accountable, and that's one way to have accountability. You have to have some sort of accountability.
Well, it used to be that's what the SAT was for. You knew how good your school was by what your graduating class, how they did on SATs.
Yeah, but a lot of the kids aren't going to university or college, so they're not even taking the SATs anymore.
All right. Okay. Tell you what, let's take a quick break and thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning. We'll be right back.